The first two tapes, the hitting machine and 125 drills and techniques for the hitting machine, have been extremely well received around the country by coaches at all levels. You have asked, however, that we add something to that you've learned mechanics, you've learned drills, you understand the system, you're in love with it, it's being productive with your respective programs. Now you'd like to take that player who's ready to hit, put him in game situations. So the constant question that coaches have asked as they've attended our Mid-America All-Star Baseball camps has been, Coach, we need something now about game situations. So therefore, videotape number 3 in the series comes OSU's game situation hitting system. We will cover for you, first of all, the discipline within the strike zone. What does discipline mean? Oklahoma State University's program has been said to be an outstanding program, very offensive, leads the nation in scoring, but the most common thing it's been said is, wow, those people are really disciplined. Well, what does the word discipline mean as it pertains to offense and to the strike zone? Section 2, we'll talk about the bunting game, what we use here at Oklahoma State, how we use it, how it affects defense, and what's its picture? How does it fit into the overall picture of team offense? In segment 3, we'll talk about, I think, what is really the secret of hitting. Once you learn how to execute, once you understand how to stay in your legs, as we talked about in tape 1, and you have good power base to work from, how do you adjust day to day to the fastball or to the rhythm or the situation? And it affects timing and tempo. We call it rhythm adjustment, and I think you'll find it very interesting. 4, we'll talk about different styles. A lot of people don't fully understand that there are 3 different hitters in baseball. There is the guy that must play every day against all types of pitchers. We call him an onside hitter. The offside hitter, it's more platoon. It's always facing the offside pitcher, the left-hand hitter facing the right-hand hitter, and then the switch hitter, and we'll talk about that. Segment 5, we'll talk about what happens mentally and emotionally as the hitter comes out of the dugout for Oklahoma State. What's he thinking? What's his responsibilities as he comes from the dugout into the on-deck circle? What's he doing regarding pre-pitch ritual, regarding his thought process, recognizing situation, and executing? First of all, back to segment 1, we start there for you. What is discipline? What does it mean? That means to us that you must time the fastball. The first responsibility is to time the fastball. It's the pitch that every pitcher can throw for the greatest amount of command. It also arrives in the shortest period of time from release to the plate, and so it's still the pitch that gets most hitters out. So the first thing we do as hitters is think about timing the fastball. We want to take the fastball away from that guy. Now, second term we use is hitters must, in order to be efficient hitters offensively, they must not be afraid to get into the count. That means I take a pitch with a purpose. I take a pitch to time the fastball. I take a pitch to make a pitcher work. I take a pitch with nobody on base to give me an opportunity to find out what his breaking ball is like, what his entire repertoire is like. Does he have a straight change? What's he going to try to get me out with? How's he going to pitch me with 2 strikes? If there's nobody on base, I can be patient. I can afford to take pitches. I can get into the count. The truest mark of a great hitter is the ability to take pitches, get into the count, fight pitches off, draw a high number of base on balls, cut down strikeouts, and still be able to execute the game. It'll fit in to total team offense. Boggs right now may be the greatest example of a guy who hits with a high average, gets into the count, makes consistent contact, and each year hits high in the average. He is a good team offensive baseball player. Third, we say take the curveball. We can't be in fastball rhythm and have the ability to adjust to the breaking ball. So until we get 2 strikes, particularly for the onside hitter, we'll take that breaking ball. We got to know how to get in rhythm with a pitch and when to take pitches. Taking a curveball is not a problem until you get 2 strikes. We'll make that adjustment later. So when we say, son, take the curveball, he can do that. He can take it in his legs. He can use it as rhythm. He can use the count to his advantage. When we get into the 4th element, we're talking about base runners and situations. Obviously, we don't want to take a lot of pitches when men are in scoring position. We want to take advantage of the trouble that the pitcher has, the fact he's pitching off the stretch, and the fact that we're going to be able to set on something that we like. We got him in trouble, let's execute him early in the count in this situation. And 5, think with me about big innings. Every big inning that you see in baseball is built around the walk. It's built around the defensive era. And then finally, it's built around the hitter controlling the zone. If you're always behind in the count, and the hitter has a positive count to work with, 1 ball, no strikes, 2 balls, no strikes, 2-1, 3-1, 3-0, he's able to select the pitch he wants. He's able to set on a fastball, and he's able to deal with that little reaction time, because that's item 6. You're dealing with only a half a second from the time the ball is released from the hand until it arrives at the plate. So it takes an extraordinary timing and skill. One of our definitions in tape number 1 was arrive on time, in rhythm, on plane. Well, arriving on time to take that fastball away in rhythm is critical. It has to be done in a half a second. The decision has to be made to trigger the bat if it's going to be a strike, if it's hittable, if it's what I'm looking for, if it's in my power zone. 7, we talk about hitting our NRP zone all the time. That's our power zone. If we're ahead of you in the count, 1-0, 2-0, we may just take the inside 2/3 of the zone and set on a fastball in that part of the zone. That means that we're disciplined not only with the zone, but we're disciplined within the zone. And that's truly what discipline means as a hitter. It's not so much whether it's a ball or a strike, but it's a matter of whether it's a strike within the strike zone that I can handle. What's my strength? I want to hit my strength as long as I control the count. So big innings are created around walks, around errors, and around threat of the walk, because it gives that hitter great control. And that's where most power comes from, is controlling the zone, looking for pitches, and jumping out there and getting after it. Discipline within the zone's a factor. Now, as well as that, you must have discipline in games during batting practice and in drill. If you're not disciplined in batting practice and you're not disciplined in drill, this means getting pitches to hit in the strike zone. Don't hit balls in batting practice. Don't hit balls in drill. Not only that, get within the strike zone, be disciplined in batting practice and in drill, so that when you go to the game, you're not going to respond to a pitch out of the zone that you can't handle. And you don't get yourself out. Most hitters do exactly that. They get themselves out. 10, if you get down into a situation where you're talking about strikes and you get into a 2-strike count, what happens when I'm behind the count? I go out, look fastball, the guy throws a breaking ball strike. He throws 2 breaking ball strikes. Then I concede to that. I tighten the rhythm. We'll talk about rhythm adjustment, one of hitting's great secrets later. We will tighten down that breaking ball that we were taking with 2 strikes. We'll tighten down and try to hit the other way, and we'll do it with the same mechanical approach that you've learned in the hitting machine and in those drills for the hitting machine. It'll work for you. We've been doing it for years. When you start to evaluate a hitter and how he projects to you as an offensive tool for your ball club, you look at his on-base percentage. Can this player, 1, take the fastball away? Can he then in turn get into the count? Does he draw a high number of base on balls relative to his strikeouts? And what is his on-base percentage? We typically average about 460 to 480 and occasionally have a couple of guys over 500% of their at-bats they reach base. This is the reason 8 of the last 10 years we've been in the College World Series, and when we get there and look at the overall statistics from each team, we find that Oklahoma State almost always leads in walk-strikeout ratio. It means we draw a higher number of walks with fewer strikeouts than anybody there. Also, as a team, we often lead all 8 of these great ball clubs coming to Omaha in on-base percentage. It means up and down the lineup, we have used team discipline, strike by strike, pitch by pitch discipline to create a high on-base percentage as a team. We also select within the zone, and we get pitchers' mistakes, and when we do, all of a sudden you look up and Oklahoma State's putting up 3, 4, and 5, and every time you do that, you got a chance to win. And finally, we have what is called a 15-90 rule. All of our championship games are played over 9 innings. We're in a situation where I know you as Legion and high school coaches may play a lot of 7-inning baseball, but it still is important, and this is an important thought to understand, because when you get to the state playoffs and to national titles, you play 9-inning baseball most of the time, and it's the true form of the game. So 15 means I must push that pitcher past 15 pitches every inning. When I get a pitcher to the stretch, the radar gun tells me that he backs up velocity-wise. When he gets past 15 every inning, and he does that for a period of 5 or 6 innings, and we look up and he's past 90. It's been a frequent occurrence in a College World Series. A Billy Swift starts for Maine a few years ago. He's well over 100 pitches after 5 innings. A Roger Clemens starts for Texas. He's gone in the 7th. He's well over 120 pitches in the 7th. Because of the discipline up and down the lineup,